Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, wir sind hier in Ulda, because with a 10-year anniversary of Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, they introduced a quest, kind of a remembrance quest. Remembering the past. The determined set of your jaw, the dynamic presence, as if you're ever ready to leap into action. There's no mistake, you're an adventurer and a dependable one at that. Tell me, are you familiar with the name Louisoix Leveilleur? Yes, of course. Of course you are, of course you are. Forgive me for my suddenness. I'm Nanamo Nonomo, a budding writer, and I seek to pen a biography of a great man. In particular, I wish to cover his movement leading up to the calamity, and to that end I've requested an interview with the immortal flames. He served the Eorzean Alliance as a tactician, you see, so there ought to be someone in the Order who had dealings with him. While my request has thankfully been accepted, there's just one problem. I don't have much experience conducting interviews, and I'm worried whether I'll be able to do a proper job. As an adventurer, you are doubtless used to dealing with people, thus I would like to ask you to accompany me in the capacity of an assistant. It would be tremendously reassuring to simply have you watching on. And if you're amenable, afterwards I'd like to interview you as well for your own impressions. For your troubles, I'll be certain to credit you as a collaborator, so please, won't you help me with my biography? The memories of calamity might be preserved for future generations. Alright. I'm in your debt. To begin with, please come with me to Camp Drybone in Eastern Fanalan. There's a place I'd like to visit ahead of the interview. Camp Drybone. Where do you want to go? There you are. To explain why we're here. Oh, but I haven't even asked your name. How am I supposed to credit you if I don't even know that much? Desiree Klingor? Maybe you have heard of me? Desiree Klingor! The Desiree Klingor, champion of Eorzea? Small, and I felt you were dependable. With one such as you helping me, everything will surely go well. But getting back to business, the interview I arranged is with an officer of the Immortal Flames. As there's still time, however, I thought we'd pay a visit to the nearby graveyard first, so I can explain my motivation for a biography. I come from a small village near the Cartano Flats. It was burnt down in the calamity, and those who died were laid to rest here. My parents among them. It's hardly an uncommon tale. After the dread primal emerged from the Dalamut, he unleashed fiery devastation across the length and breadth of Eorzea. But as much as the calamity has scarred the realm, it's quickly become just another event in the history books. Beyond occasionally giving thanks to the Archons that Eorzea was saved, people spared little thought. But when you've lost so many loved ones, it's hard to feel that anything was saved. That's why I wish to know more about Louisoix. By learning about his part in Eorzea's salvation, I hope that it will attain closure. That's my motivation for writing the biography. I see. Now then, in preparation for the interview, let's review what is known about our subject. It's difficult to define exactly when the Seventh Umbral Calamity was set in motion. Many historians, however, point to the Empire's Meteor Project, which sought to bring Dalamut down upon Eorzea. It was the year 1562 of the Sixth Astral Era. Seeking to combat the Imperial threat, Louisoix founded the Circle of Knowing, an order whose objective was the preservation of Eorzea. Through its members, the Archons of Sharlayan, the Circle worked to unite the nations of Eorzea in common cause, and recruitment banners for the Grand Companies. The result was the formation of the grand companies in the three city-states. The Immortal Flames, the Order of the Twin Adder, and the Maelstrom. None of these would exist now, were it not for their efforts. And then in the year 1572, when the situation was coming to a head, Louisoix himself made the journey to Eorzea in secret and engaged with each of the nations. What took place during that time is what I seek to learn in the interview. The man we are due to meet is a contact for the Free Brigade, a unit formed of adventurers, and he apparently had Louisoix's assistance for a mission. The meeting place is Highbridge to the northeast. It's more or less time now, so let's make our way there. The interviewee should be along any moment now. You ever ones who seek an interview? I must say, I wasn't expecting to see the champion of Eorzea. I'm Nanamo Nonomo, the writer who made the request, and Desi is kindly accompanying me for the interview. Can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy schedule to humor me. Come now, no need for the thanks. Like everyone, I hold Louisoix in the highest esteem. If you wish to know about him, Holland Aubrey is always glad to oblige. Flame salute. Without further ado then, let us begin. My understanding is you had dealings with Louisoix? Could you please tell me the details? As you know, our grand companies were formed thanks to the Circle of Knowing, but it wasn't until Dalamud began turning red that Louisoix first appeared. It began with a word that an elderly Elderson man had come to Gridania with the key to vanquishing primals. Upon learning this, I sent an adventurer of a Free Brigade to make contact with him. I later learned that the Maelstrom and the Order of the Twin Adder had done the very same. At that time, our companies weren't yet collaborating. Each one only fought to stay ahead of the others. If truth be told, at first we didn't think much of Louisoix, only that he was the leader of scholars who studied peculiar prophecies. But when the adventurer reported back, our opinion of a man completely changed. With his spellcraft, Louisoix had opened the way into Ifrit's domain, and by the hand of dauntless adventurers the Lord of Inferno was brought low. Alas, many defeats preceded that victory. It was reported that countless charred corpses lay strewn in the bowl of embers. Now, the mission also yielded a shocking revelation. Following the battle, Legatus Nail Vandanus of the 7th Imperial Legion appeared and told the adventurer that the hour of reckoning was at hand, that Dalamud would soon fall and cleanse the land. That was when we realized that the Empire was behind the Red Moon's anomaly. So thanks to Louisoix, you came to be aware of a meteor project. Still, it doesn't seem like you had much to act upon. As you say, afterwards we scrambled to learn all we could about the project. For a blessing, we had the cooperation of a Gallian defector, Seth Garland, whom you know well. He revealed the details of the project, that had utilized a transmission tower to pluck Dalamud from the heavens, all for the purpose of purging us savages from the realm. I could continue telling you what I know, but from that point on, there's someone better suited than I am. If you're interested, I would be glad to introduce you to this individual. What say you? Well now, we'd be keen to speak with this person indeed. Very well. I will send word to the Adder's Nest. If you could take yourselves to Upcarly Falls, I will arrange for a meeting there. To go to such lengths to help us, I can't say how grateful I am. Do not mention it. As I said, I hold Louisoix in the highest esteem. He was the one who brought our three nations together, and nothing would please me more than for him to be remembered. Well, it's past time I return to Ul'dah. I pray that the coming interviews bears you fruit. The lieutenant certainly has great respect for Louisoix. And thanks to him, we have another promising interview. Come, let's head to Gridania, where the Archon had sojourned. So this is Upcarly Falls. The conspicuous lack of creatures aside, it's quite a beautiful place. Now then, the person we are to meet should be along shortly. I was told there are those who wish to learn about Louisoix, and who should one of them be but the champion of Eorzea? Well met. I'm Lieutenant Zero Fulk of the Order of a Twin Adder. Hiya. Nanamo Nonomo at your service. Thank you for sparing the time to speak with us. Think nothing of it. I must say though that Lieutenant Albright chose the perfect spot for the subject matter. Louisoix spent much time in rumination here in the days before the calamity. We Gridanians, being somewhat reserved by nature, at first the citizens kept their distance. But in time, people warmed to him. He patiently lent an ear to their troubles, healing hearts and offering counsel, and gradually earned their trust. To ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. Louisoix spoke those words and lived up to them. He was the epitome of a Sharlayan sage, and I recall myself being moved. Now, shortly after I had become aware of the meteor project, the hamlet of Quarry Mill was attacked by the primal Garuda. Both soldiers and civilians were among the casualties. The Order of a Twin Adder moved to vanquish the primal, but we were not alone. Through Louisoix's mediation, we had the support of not only our sister grand companies, but capable adventurers the realm over besides. Using an artifact known as the Vortex Feather, the Archon opened the way for a band of adventurers to sally forth into Garuda's turbulent domain, where they felt the fearsome being. Upon our defeat, however, the primal's dispersed effort did not return to the land. Instead, it was absorbed into the Red Moon Dalamut. When the Empire constructed a new base in Mordorna, the Elder Seedseer saw the need for decisive action and put forth a proposal: the formal reformation of the Eorzean Alliance, which had for so long lain dormant. The initial response of the other nations was lukewarm at best. They felt that the burden to be borne by each party was excessive, and they were loath to do aught that would place them at a disadvantage against their rivals. But the revelation that the lunar transmitter had been erected in the Imperial base prompted a change of heart. The tower controlled Dalamut's descent. If it could be destroyed, then the meteor project would be forestalled. After having constantly been on the back foot, our nations were motivated to join hands, that they might strike a decisive blow against the enemy. Thus was the Eorzean alliance reformed, as the Circle of Knowing had hoped. At the same juncture, Louisoix was asked to join the alliance as a tactician, and in that capacity, he provided sage counsel to our heads of state. So although he was at first treated with wariness, Louisoix earned our trust through his actions and paved the way to enduring cooperation between our nations. Indeed, were it not for him, we all would have perished and divided. We owe Louisoix a great debt. Now, when I expect you might be interested in hearing about the operation to destroy the lunar transmitter. But for that tale, I would recommend you seek out another, a decorated soldier who actually took part in the operation. Although a hardened warrior, she is quite friendly and should be glad to regale you with her experiences. Shall I send a word on your behalf? We'd be duly grateful. Very well, if you could take yourself to Maelstrom Commander Limsa, I shall see to it that she knows to expect you. With that I shall take my leave. I pray that the biography is a success. Everyone has been more helpful than I dared hope. It seems Louisoix had quite an influence on others. So it does. That interview gave us some valuable insight into his character, and I'm eager to see what you might learn in the next. Come, let's head to Limsa. And that is Maelstrom Command. Shall we then? There's the way ever a sight for sore eyes, and you must be Minanji. Rashad Wiki, at your service. I understand you wish to hear about the operation to destroy the lunar transmitter? Indeed, I'm penning a biography of the Archon Louisoix, you see, for which I'm interviewing people who had dealings with him. I truly appreciate your time. You're very welcome. I would be glad to assist, even if it wasn't a request from Lieutenant Falk. Now then, to continue where he left off. It was shortly after the Eorzean Alliance was formed, our scouts returned with word that the 7th Legion had activated the lunar transmitter in their fortress in Mordona. Now known as Castrum Sentry, the fortress was originally called Castrum Novum before the 14th was restored and renamed it. It was in order to break through its defenses and destroy the transmitter that our three nations joined hand, and were determined to succeed. That strategy that Louisoix proposed was elegant in its simplicity. While our main force drew the Guardians' attention with an all-out siege, an elite band of adventurers would infiltrate the Castrum and make for our objective. Basically the same strategy we employed during Operation Archon. So the end of the ARR storyline. We entrusted adventurers with ridding us of the primals, now we entrusted them with the very fate of Eorzea. I still remember the operation as if it were yesterday. When we met with fierce resistance, we fought more fiercely still. No matter the cost, we had to ensure that the adventurers had the chance to strike at the transmitter. And when the messengers arrived bearing word that they had succeeded, it still makes my heart sore to recall that moment of triumph. That day we learned that, by standing together, the people of Eorzea could oppose even the might of the Empire. It is no exaggeration to say that the victory paved the way for Eorzea's future. Without it, there would not have been an Operation Archon. Alas, it wasn't all glad tidings. For though we destroyed the transmitter, Neil Vandanas appeared and claimed that he no longer needed the device to bring down Dalamut. That he himself had the power to do so. So long as Vandanas lived, the threat of destruction remained. And so, branding him an enemy of all life in Eorzea, the nations of the Alliance undertook a desperate manhunt. At length, they located him in Kurthus and sent their greatest warriors to hunt him down. Leading that formidable band was the adventurer whom they called the Warrior of Light. And though no records remain of a fierce encounter, one thing is certain: at battle's conclusion, Nails Vandanas was brought low. As you know, however, our wars would not end with a white raven for Louisoix, and his disciples determined that Dalamut would continue to fall. In a last-ditch bid to prevent the realm's annihilation, the Circle of Knowing issued a request to the Eorzean Alliance to secure the Cartano Flats, where the Red Moon was expected to crash. It was no simple task, for the entirety of the 7th Legion had amassed in Cartano, but it was necessary in order to perform a ritual to stop Dalamut. A ritual that invoked the power of a 12th. So it was that the Battle of Cartano was joined, and I dare say you know how the tale continues. To everyone's shock, the Elder Primal Bahamut emerged from Dalamut and proceeded to unleash his fury upon the realm. Aye, and though all bore witness as Louisoix initiated the ritual, none remember what came to pass afterwards. Neither what happened to Bahamut, nor why the realm was reborn. The haze had afflicted memories of a calamity, but people remember events prior to that moment, yes? If so, do you know if anyone was near Louisoix during the battle? Someone who may have spoken with him? If someone was near him, I'm afraid I do not know. It was atop a rise for the ritual, while I was a good distance away on the front lines. My apologies. No, please don't apologize. You shared a wealth of information and I couldn't ask for more. Well, if you're satisfied, then so am I. With that, I shall return to my duties. I look forward to reading the biography when it's finished. Now I have a grasp of the events leading up to the calamity, and yet... Forgive me, I was deep in thought. In no small part due to your help, I've managed to learn a great deal. There's still more I wish to know. Might I trouble you to accompany me a little longer? If you're willing, please let me know. Okay, how do we continue? Preserving the future. You'll continue accompanying me then. Wonderful. Come, let's head to the Drowning Wench to discuss our next move. Our research proceeds apace so far. We've even learned things not found in literature. Based on what you learned from our interviewees, what is your opinion of Louisoix? Others deserve more credit. Many people work together on this. Perhaps, without the Warriors of Light, his plan may have come to naught. But without Louisoix himself, there wouldn't have been any plan at all. What struck me was how grateful the interviewees were to Louisoix for bringing their nations together in cooperation. was nothing short of necessary for our survival. Yet in knowing this, I can't help but wonder. In his capacity as a tactician, it seems to me he had done more than enough by devising a plan and facilitating its execution. He went far beyond that, risking life and limb on the front lines for a land not his own. Perhaps he needed to be there for the ritual. Perhaps he felt a sense of duty. Even so, as noble as it is to desire to help others, what good is it if you end up sacrificing yourself? What was it that compelled Louisoix to go to Cartano, and what went through his mind as the battle unfolded? In order to do his biography justice, I feel I need to know these things. If Louisoix had people near him at the time, perhaps he shared words with them in his final moments? Words that could provide some insights? But where to begin searching for such individuals, assuming they exist? Sorry friends, couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Just so happens I know a bloke has served among Louisoix's guard at Cartano. Truly, you know someone who was with him? Aye, and far as I'm aware, he was keeping the fact a secret. Just for good measure though. Why do you want to speak with him? Louisoix's biography, eh? In that case, I reckon the bloke would be willing to cooperate. Orn Gyonkam is his name, and he was a lieutenant of a maelstrom. After the calamity, he turned to adventurer so as to be a greater help to the common folk. A maelstrom officer turned adventurer? We would be most keen to speak with him. Where might he be found? When Orn dropped in the other day, he said he had business at the Morabi dry docks. If you're lucky, might be still there. Understood. We are in your debt. We can't let this chance pass us by this way. Let's take ourselves to the dry docks at once. Thanks, Padawan. That man seems to know everyone. Really. Right, where could Orn be? In hindsight, we should have asked what he looks like. His name would suggest he's a Midlander, but... Well, nothing for it but to make inquiries. Let's split up for the task and meet again here. I thought I'd gotten better at making inquiries, but it's not easy if they aren't already inclined to speak. How do you do it day in and day out? Do we know Orn? Orn, as it happens, I spoke with him just earlier. He said he wanted to buy flowers, so I directed him to a vendor. Not sure where he is off now, though. Shipwright? Looking for Orn Gunkam, you say? Don't know anyone by that name, I'm afraid. I did walk by an unfamiliar fellow just now, though, over by the mark of a spinner. He had a flower in his hand, so he caught my eye. Shopkeep? I'm sorry, but I've just started helping out here. I'm still learning our customers' names. I couldn't say if it's the person you're after, but a man did come by earlier who appeared to be an adventurer. He bought an Imea lily that we're currently trialing. You have an inkling as to where Orn might be. Time to rejoin Nananji. Very well, Esri. Were you able to learn anything? So a man who could be on bought an Emir lily then went to the mark of a spinner. If we hurry there, we might be able to find him. Let's go! If he was just seen, he should still be nearby. Begging your pardon, sir, but are you Lieutenant Orn Gürnkam? I haven't been a lieutenant for years, but that's me. What can I do for you? I realize this is sudden, but... So you're writing Louisoix's biography and want to hear my account as someone who was near on hand at Cardinal. There must be a reason that you're here too. A warrior of light who led us to victory in Operation Archon. Very well. I will tell you my tale. Now then, where to begin? As you know, the battle was fought over the land where Dalamut was expected to fall. In the beginning, neither side was able to gain the upper hand, but when the Imperials deployed their magic armor, our ranks were thrown into disarray. Those charged with protecting Louisoix like me could only watch the carnage from afar. And though our forces managed to hold out thanks to the adventurer contingent, we sustained grievous casualties. But the real tragedy was what followed. As Dalamut hurtled toward us, it began shedding fragments of itself before finally bursting open to unleash the primal Bahamut. As all below looked on in shock, the battle completely forgotten, Bahamut took wing and spewed fire all over the land. Man and magic armor alike were set ablaze and sent flying like so many insects. I only realized that I had stopped breathing when a commanding voice broke my trance. "You've done enough," Louisoix told us. "Now fly. Fly and save yourselves." But like my fellow guards, I wanted to remain. I couldn't charge into battle beside my comrades. At the very least, I would do my duty here and protect Louisoix to the last. But upon seeing us standing there not making a move, Louisoix smiled and spoke thus. "If you could give your lives to protect something, then protect my hopes. Every soul who lives to determine their own fate is a source of hope. Bright and brilliant, so live, I bid you, and be among those who bear the light for others to follow." Those words awakened us to a greater purpose. If there was hope in my living, then I would live as Louisoix bid. No matter what, I would survive. And so, together with my fellows, I began making my retreat. Alas, we hadn't gotten far when an explosion erupted and sent us sprawling. I struggled to my feet just in time to see the enormous, menacing silhouette of Bahamut looming over Louisoix. The next instant, he was enveloped in light. And that was the last I remember of him. Louisoix's final moment. Amidst that light, he looked to be smiling. What he was thinking in that moment I couldn't say, but one thing is certain. All of us are alive thanks to him. Following the calamity, it was reported that Louisoix defeated Bahamut and set about the land's miraculous regeneration. Do you believe this is the truth? Yes. Every soul who lives to determine their own fate is a source of hope. What we've learned has reaffirmed my belief, Desiree. I believe that Louisoix was not an all-powerful savior one reads about in tales, but merely an ordinary man. But that man never forsook Eorzea, no. He stood for this realm to the last. He and countless other brave souls, and saved it from becoming a scorched waste. Against unimaginable adversity he fought, and at the cost of his life paved the way to a brighter future for us all. The least I can do in return is tell his story, spread his message that where there's life, there's hope. Thanks to your account, I believe I found an angle for my biography. I'm truly grateful. Would you care to offer a prayer as well? A prayer that the light of hope which Louisoix preserved shall ever burn bright? The calamity left deep scars across the realm. There was no place that did not want for help to rebuild. After being saved by our twin Adder allies, I decided to become an adventurer, the better to honor Louisoix's legacy and lend aid to those in need. During my travels I often hear your tales, and I'm glad I could share my own with you. Allow me to thank you again for recounting your experiences to us. Nay, 'tis I who owes you thanks for giving me the chance to share Louisoix's words. All these years, I'd avoided speaking of a moment of his passing out of respect, but it would not do to take the tale to my grave. Through the biography, it is my hope that a spirit will live on in all of us. Now then, if you excuse me, I shall resume my pilgrimage to the marks. Wherever your travels take you, I shall be praying for your safety. Mere lilies, the symbol of safe passage. As Louisoix stood there in Cartano, I wonder if he likewise prayed for someone's safety. At any rate, these interviews have yielded everything I had hoped for and more. Come, let us return to Uldar. I have a reward for you at Uldar at the Hall of Flames. There you are. I ended up troubling you longer than I intended, but it was a truly fruitful series of interviews. How fortunate we could hear from those who lived that fateful time. While I still have many questions, the biography is beginning to take shape in my mind. I also feel as though I've attained a measure of closure. Louisoix fought simply as one of us. and he made the ultimate sacrifice that hope might endure. This I've come to realize and appreciate thanks to everyone's heartfelt testimonies. Now then, last but not least, I'd like to ask you for your thoughts on something. According to On, Louisoix smiled in his final moment. As he was enveloped in light, what do you imagine he held in his mind? The image of mankind thriving in the future. That sounds so... I see. I appreciate your thought. As I pen the biography, I'll be certain to remember your words. Well, that what is, it's time for us to part ways. I set to work on a draft, and I won't rest until the biography goes to print. Thank you for all your help, my friend. I couldn't have come this far without you. And we get a framer's kit. The man, the myth, the legend. Okay, and that was this investigation to Louisoix and the 10-year anniversary quest. And the next time when we play more Final Fantasy XIV, I'm Ace, and don't get lost.